Hello, and welcome to Digital Artcast, hosted by Neill. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Procreate, the most advanced painting app ever designed for a mobile device. We'll be discussing the app a little more later in the episode, as well as giving away a free copy. But for now, let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome back to Digital Artcast. Back with another interview today. We're speaking with the amazing Mark Molnar. So Mark, hi, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys.
Hey. So this will be another attempt me and Mark have had to start this interview. He's been a very busy guy the last couple of days. A new baby has arrived, yes Mark?
Yay! New baby boy. Just 2 days ago. So.
Yeah. Oh, I never asked, have you gave him a name? Or?
Yeah, it's Mendel.
M-E-N-D-E-L. Alright, oh cool. A name I'm not really used to. Of course, we're in Scotland, so it's more English-based names I think across here. So yeah, but interesting when I first learned about you with your name being Mark, because I think Mark's quite a traditionally English name. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, just a quick kind of run back. Maybe talk about your studio, what you're doing currently as an outsourcing studio, and then maybe jump back a bit and talk about how you got into concept art.
Okay, so yeah, I currently I'm a lead concept artist at the studio, but I started with one of my friends. It's called Pixel Studios. We are basically doing pre-production design and concept art for movies, animation productions, TV series. Doing like 80% concept art, probably, like from character design, creature design, costumes, set design, environments, and everything. And that's what we do mostly. We're doing a bit of illustration work on the side, and also a bit of work for post-production, like visual effect design, animatics, a bit of matte painting, like basically all sorts of mainly 2D, a bit of 3D, digital art.
Yeah.
And beside that, I'm also doing a bit of illustration work, but so I've done a lot of illustration for hobby game companies before, and I sort of kept some of those work on the side, but so all the works, but I cannot really channel through the company.
Yeah.
So what it's basically is doing illustration is that's more like attached to a person, because that's why they call me, because they want that particular style, what I do.
Yeah.
So I kept those works, and I'm doing like far less than before, but I'm still doing book covers and interior illustration and some card illustrations on the side.
Because you've done stuff for Fantasy Flight and stuff for June as well.
I'm still working for Fantasy Flight games, but I worked on a lot of IPs for them, but now I'm only doing like Star Wars and the Arkham, in the Arkham universe. That's their horror game line.
All right, yeah.
From the Tulu world, and I'm doing like Star Wars illustrations mainly for cards and the X-Wing line.
I've always wondered as well with the Dune stuff you were pursuing. Was that for some kind of reboot of the series, or was that book related?
Yeah, that's. I'm not sure when it's going to come out. We already finished everything basically, but that was a massive job. I basically started that I think more than a year ago.
Right.
It was a bit ambitious because.
Were you the only artist working on it, I take it, or?
Sorry.
Were you the only artist working on it? I take at the time. Were you the only?
Well, so it's basically it's going to be like so they're gonna republish the whole series of Dune books in the next
right.
5-6 years.
Right.
From the very first one till I think the first 5 or 7 books.
Right.
Or
Okay.
5 or 7 books, and each book's going to have a different illustrator.
Right.
And I was doing the first one. I think Mark Simonetti was doing the second one.
Oh, Mark, yeah, cool.
Yeah, but they wanted to do the first one like as like a really special edition. So because originally when we started to talk about it, the plan was to do like 4 or 5 illustrations plus interior illustrations plus the cover,
Right.
and we went up to 10 or 12, 10 interior illustrations, and 1 cover created, and 1 like a, not like a chapter plate, but
yeah.
So it's something like an interior.
Right, yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm not sure it's like a title page. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like a title page. So
kind of like a splash page
like,
thing. Yeah.
Like a double spread, and I think 10 or 12 interior illustrations plus the cover. Mm-hmm. These are all done digitally and painted with oils.
All right.
Also, cool. So because I always wanted to try out these techniques to move back and forth between digital and traditional mediums.
Right.
So I started traditionally, like doing sketches and inks and everything, and then scanned those in and do some color roughs and printed those out, painted them further, scanned them in, finished them to about 80% digitally, and then printed them out in large size on canvases, like archival canvases, and finished them with oils.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it was a really long process, but
yeah.
But I mean, it was a great experience. And so there are like 12 paintings like this, and there are like another extra 10 paintings what are digital and just portraits.
Wow. Yeah.
Plus there will be another like 4 or 5 illustrations what are created previously, but we thought it would be a nice addition to the book. So all in all, it's going to be like a limited edition with nearly 30 full color illustrations.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting.
So it's going to be massive, and I think the first 500 books going to be signed as well. So.
Oh wow! Oh great! Yeah, I'll need to keep my eye on that. I've got literally my bookcase is right next to me in my office, and like yours, and June is one of the books that's sitting. I can see it here. I've got one of the reprints when it was like all of the books, or the first 3 or 4 in one pressing. Yeah, I've always been a fan of June. I mean, it's like just sci-fi you need to know, especially when I was in industry workshops recently, and I went to John Harris's talk, and which was mind blowing. I mean, truth be told, I actually didn't know who John Harris was until I sat down and listened to him, which was crazy because people were like, "Oh, how can you not know who John Harris is?" Like I knew who Sid Mead was, but yeah, John was amazing just to listen to, because obviously all his work is traditional. Like you would look at a lot of his paintings and think, how are you achieving that detail? Like there was one he done, I think he actually revisited it. He told us he revisited it for a recent show, and it was one he done years and years ago, and it was like the bottom of a ship, like a freighter, with other ships passing below it, and the detail working with like oils was unbelievable. And I'm thinking, how are you achieving that without any matte photography or speed painting, or like you literally just on canvas? And it blew my mind. And it was funny though, because when he went back to the piece that he'd redone that picture for a recent art exhibition, and he took away nearly all of the detail, because he was talking about how there's a whole process now in painting that's lost about mystery, how things should be left to the imagination and not every single detail should be painted, which is why I think your stuff was always attracting me, because your stuff feels very painterly. Like it feels like that, like you said, working traditionally, and especially with the Dune stuff, I could kind of see that. I was thinking, how is Mark painting that digitally when you can almost see the brushstrokes in his work, and that's well,
it's probably comes from my traditional background, because I started I started painting and doing illustrations traditionally back when I started out. So I went to like an art high school first, and then from there I ended going to the Hungarian university. I'm from Hungary, so I went to the Hungarian University of Art and Design. It has a different name now, but it's basically the main design university in Hungary.
Right.
And but it was, I think, and it's pretty similar everywhere, or I mean most of the countries in Eastern Europe, that the art education is a bit different than in Western Europe or in the UK or in the States, because in the States and in the UK the courses and the design schools are much more specified and much more like how do I say that? It's much more design oriented and not necessarily coming from the arts
painterly
side
kind of stuff. Yeah.
You know, but okay, we had to learn typography and we had to learn design and graphic design and stuff like that. But we also had to learn art history. We also had to learn anatomy, all sorts of stuff. We had to go through a sort of traditional art training before starting any design related thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I started drawing traditionally, and also we started to at uni we started to use Photoshop and other softwares as well, but it wasn't really about painting. It's more about putting together the designs and things like that. So I'm an old fart. So this was like in 2000. So I went to uni in 2000, I think. So it was 2000 when I started using Photoshop, probably around two. No, wow. I used Photoshop. I used Photoshop earlier in high school, but that was like Photoshop, I don't know.
Wow. Like
2.1 or something. So you couldn't really do much with that.
So you've probably been painting in Photoshop as long as Craig Mullins has then. Because he was literally at ILM with John inventing Photoshop, painting with a mouse. So I mean, you've got to be one of the people.
I was starting painting with a mouse, but then one of my friends bought this. Was one of the. It wasn't Wacom. It was, I think, a Genius.
Right.
Tablet.
All right. Like the first.
I was blown away that you can actually use a pencil.
Yeah.
So to paint and draw digitally. So that was. So basically, I started this whole thing somewhere probably around conceptart.org started. So 2003-ish, 2003.
The old school forums and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and before that there were like forums like Cjun. Like I haven't really posted much on Cjun, but I was just lurking around and following all the
CG Hub and everything.
All the big guys like Sparth and Levy and.
Nicholas, man, like that guy's paintings just transport me when I see it. It's ridiculous. Like his whole work in Halo's obviously been legendary, but his individual personal work is like, oh my god, Nicholas is such an amazing artist. Yeah, one day I'll meet him.
So yeah, that's how I started, and the funny thing was that I always had to work besides school. So I moved away from my parents when I was 18, because I went to in a kind of it's like a polytech.
Right. Yeah.
Or something like that. I'm not sure, because the school system is a bit different here than in the UK or in the US. So it's basically a school between like a high school and the university. So it's like kind of in between. You can learn
like a college almost.
It's like a college, but it's only like 2 years, and you get a degree. Yeah, maybe probably a college or a polytech is that's the closest.
Yeah, we're the same, because after high school we have the option to go do what's called a diploma, which is 2 years, and then that gets you straight into university. So
Yeah, but the difference is you don't. So here, if you go to a school like this, you don't really get a diploma. You just get like a certification. So if you go
Right.
to learn like graphic design, then you're gonna be like a certified graphic designer. I just say something.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so it's like a college is more like in my mind, the college is more like the first level of the university, if you know what I mean. But this is totally a separate thing.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, so once you'd done your university studies and you were kind of like finished with your art degree, did you walk kind of straight into industry, or did you intern
Well,
places first?
that's what I wanted to talk about before. Is so it's like I always had to work beside school, because I'm not from a particularly poor family, but I'm not really from a wealthy family, so my parents couldn't really support me when I went to uni. Hey, you disappeared.
I know, sorry. I just had to dive there just because the dogs were rotting out. I know, I was trying to do the thing like, keep talking, I'll be back. Yeah, so...
So basically, I started freelancing during university.
Right.
During my university years, and I was also at the beginning. I was also doing a lot of like super shitty jobs, like working in back houses and stuff like that. But after but then I started to get sort of small freelance jobs, mostly graphic design, because I went to uni to. So my degree is in visual communication and in graphic design.
Oh, me too.
But
oh, yeah.
So in our uni, the graphic design had two parts. One of it was more like illustration, and the other part was more like design oriented.
Right.
So I was always more interested in illustration, but I could make money from the graphic design. So I started to do like logos and all kinds of corporate ID design and website design and stuff like that, and lived basically from. So I paid my rent and paid my bills from that during my university years, and then when I discovered digital art and concept art, I realized that shit, I just want to do this, but I didn't have any clue about how to start, because I mean, I think the younger guys nowadays are in a really great situation, because you have a shitload of tutorials online, mentorships, online courses, books, everything. And back in like 15 years ago, Jesus, it was 15 years ago, 14, 15 years ago. You see, I'm old. But we had nothing, so we just started to experiment, and we started to. I think conceptart.org and the forums section of conceptart.org, that was the only platform where you could go for information or for anything. I mean, plus you had the DVD extras. And that's it.
Oh no, totally. I mean, like the whole reason I left my job in 2010, 11 was because of watching stuff like the Halo 3 making of, or the God of War 3 making of. So that was basically what drew me in the industry, and then art books obviously as well. But yeah, I think it's probably, I think concept art has exploded through art books, because I think with the the special edition stuff on the internet, I think the whole job has just became a life on itself, because talking with some of the guys I knew way back when was, the person who done the art for the game was the person in the office who could draw the best. It wasn't particularly just an artist. It wasn't just an artist's job. It was a programmer who was really good at sketching. He would get to do the art for the game. So So I mean, so you done these freelance jobs. You picked up, kind of momentum.
So what happened is basically I've done my master. So it wasn't really a thesis, because we had so here at I think the system is still the same, but so we had to create like you had to create like a masterpiece as your for your final exam.
God, a masterpiece, that's a high standard.
I mean, it sounds weird, but it's really so. It's like so it's not really a thesis. So you had to create an actual
Right.
thing. So
A
it
practical
could be
piece, yeah.
yeah. So and I'm just calling it a masterpiece because
Yeah.
that's how you get your master's degree.
Right, okay. So for you, it was a painting. You done a painting for you, I think.
No, actually, I created a board game.
Oh wow, that's quite cool actually. Yeah, I like that.
It was really cool. It was a fantasy board game. It was if you know the Warhammer games, the miniature games.
Yeah.
It was similar to those, just with a much simpler rules. And basically, I worked together with a game designer for like 7 months to build up the rules. It was basically like a fantasy chess. So I imagine like a chess game. What like in a fantasy world, the people who are living there would play in a pub or something.
Oh, cool.
So like let's say in the world of Lord of the Rings, that's what
Right.
what people play in the pubs instead of chess. Something.
Nice.
Basically, I designed everything. So you had like 2 teams of like goblins, different goblins figures, and you had to collect small crystals on a field,
Wow.
on a table. So
That sounds interesting.
well, anyway, it was a really fun experience, and after that, because I was already freelancing, and basically I just after I finished uni, I went straight to full-time freelance, and because I already had a couple of clients who I could start to work with,
Right.
and that's pretty much what happened. And about maybe six months later or something, I started to work for a company, for a game company in New Zealand. And then they were really happy with my work as a freelancer, and then they wanted to hire me full time.
Yeah.
So I moved to New Zealand in 2006.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
Which would be
You
quite a
probably
jump
never-
as well, because that's like the other side of the world for you. So.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because I already spent 1 year in New Zealand before, like 3 years before. I take 1 year out from uni,
Yeah.
a 1 year break, and just to travel and learn English a bit more. And so I went out to New Zealand, but that was earlier, and haven't really done
Yeah.
much art related stuff back then. But
Right.
But then I was hired by this game company after my graduation, and
Yeah, and so they were hiring to work on that across there?
yeah, so they were developing basically like an MMO FPS kind of game.
Right.
But it was a bit of a bad timing because they were so it was just before the recession,
Right.
and
Right, yeah.
and when I moved there, everything was going fine. But after that, the recession hit, and after like a year and a half or 2 years, it reached the company as well. So they had to close down. I left before they actually closed down.
Mhm.
And then I stayed another, I think, 6 months in New Zealand after that. I was doing freelancing. So I went back to freelance again, and I was doing hobby game illustrations and worked at Weta Workshop as well for a bit.
Yeah.
But that was a bit of a tricky situation because they invited me for a short period to work there, and then but that was before they started shooting the Hobbit movies.
Oh, wow.
So that all the concept design was basically done for the Hobbit.
Right.
But there was some kind of legal mess behind the Hobbit. So originally Guillermo del Toro would have directed the Hobbit movies.
Oh my God.
But they that would have been awesome.
That would have been amazing.
But anyway, what happened is because there was some kind of legal about copyright stuff and buying the books between studios, and I wasn't sure, but basically they finished the pre-production, but the time just went on and on and on. And Guillermo said, okay, look, I can't, because he was waiting to actually start the movie for like 3 years.
Right.
And he said, look, guys, I'm out. I can't wait any longer.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the actual time when I was there. So the 3 movies didn't have a director. They didn't know when it's going to start.
Wow.
And they said, look, Mark, we were pretty happy with your work, and I think you're a great fit to the team. But we don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 months. The Hobbit is probably going to start, and then everything is going to kick in. But it could be a month, it could be 3, it could be 6.
Yeah.
Can't promise anything. So I just said, look, and plus there was the other side, the family side. So my wife really wanted to move back to Europe, because she had some problems on her family side, and she was worried and wanted to be beside her mother and stuff like that. And then they decided, okay, if it's nothing certain, we just can't wait.
Yeah, you need to go back.
Yeah. So we decided to go back to Europe. So we moved back to Hungary for a short period, and then I was also went out to LA for like 4 months, and then moved back, and so it was like I was like moving back and forth between overseas and Hungary, basically.
Yeah.
And then the latest, biggest move what I've done, I still think it was accidental, but I was hired by Ninja Theory.
Oh, cool.
It was really funny, because I didn't really look for a job back then.
Right.
So I was absolutely flooded with freelance work. I was working my ass off, but time to time, recruiters called me or emailed me that if I would be interested in being in a position or not.
Right.
And there was one about this position, but they always tell only these vague things, Okay, look, there's a AAA company who's looking for an experienced guy, and I think he would be a good fit. So you don't really know what company, what kind of,
what the game is and stuff. Yeah.
What the game is, or you don't know nothing. And I just said to her, it's a really nice girl, by the way. I mean, the recruiter.
Yeah.
I just told her, look, I'm super busy. I can't do anything. You can apply, whatever, but just download my CV from LinkedIn, and what I can show from my works, but are not under NDAs. Those works are on my website.
Yeah.
So just
on your website.
save down a couple of images, and that's it. And then she disappeared, and I didn't hear anything from her, like for, I don't know, I totally forgot about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I got a phone call. Hey, you're going to have an interview tomorrow morning. What?
Oh, cool.
Wait.
Yeah.
What company?
Yeah.
Who are you? So it was like just out of the blue.
Yeah.
And then it's probably because there wasn't any pressure on me to get the job.
Right.
I somehow managed to get through that interview, and then get through another interview, and get through another one, and I got the job at the end. So it was.
So you were working at Ninja Theory. Was that for the Hellblade project that just came out?
Well, basically they hired me. I don't think I can still talk about the project because of NDAs. They hired me for a different project. What was put on hold by the publisher.
Right.
So I moved there, and it was the project put on. I went there to be the lead concept artist on that project, and and to build a concept art team together with our directors. But that project got basically cancelled.
God, you got the worst luck, Mark.
Well, imagine I just moved there like after like 6 weeks. I just rented an apartment, put down the deposits, moved all my stuff there, and it was like, okay, the project is cancelled.
God,
on my trial period and everything, and I asked, look, guys, what now? And that was the point when we started to work on Hellblade, basically.
Cool. Right. Okay. So
it was. So I stayed there, and I stayed at Ninja till we basically finished the whole pre-production of Hellblade. So, and then family reasons again, I had to move back because my wife couldn't move to the UK. It wasn't like visa things or anything. It was just. My wife's sister had a really dodgy divorce, and she really wanted to be beside her. I mean, my wife wanted to be and to support her sister and to look after the 2 kids and etc.
Yeah.
So she just couldn't move to the UK, and we were doing this long distance relationship for like more than a year, and it was just crazy. I mean, living in another country and. Nah, it was just too much. Yeah. But I didn't want it to leave before we actually laid down the foundation for the game. So I waited that, and then I moved back.
Which I think is just on a side note is a crux of this industry. I think it's probably less prevalent now because of internet and email and Skype calls. You know, like I mean, obviously I'm talking to you and through Skype just now, and it's easier for me, but. I think a couple of years back, maybe even 2010, you had to go where the work was. You know, you had to move wherever the job was at the time. You couldn't work freelance. You couldn't work from the house.
Well, I think it depends on the actual work, because what I see is usually they are mostly in the game industry. You have to be in the studio, and it's. Okay, they are outsourcing some artworks as well, and they are outsourcing like pitch development. So they ask certain artists to develop the base of a vision
for the pitches and stuff.
But the actual to create the actual production art, you just have to be in the studio, because you have to communicate with your team, with the game designers. With the writers, with the producers, so you have to be able to communicate instantly with the whole team, and it's really hard to manage.
Yeah.
If you are doing this from the outside as a freelancer.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that. On the I think in case of illustration work and like movie stuff. It's much more easier. It's much more flexible, because
there's less kind of less studio based stuff. It is just kind of meetings over Skype and communication through email.
And now I'm just thinking why, because it's probably it's much more specified, the actual job what you are doing. Right. It's probably because of that. I mean, doing illustrations, it's a loner thing anyway. So you get a brief, you sit down and you create so that's much more artistic. You create a painting in your own, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's sort of back and forth. So there are feedbacks from the clients. They pick the best composition from the 5 you gave them or something.
Yeah.
And but in movies, it's also like. Because you are working with the production, most of the time you're working with the production designer or the director. You don't necessarily have to communicate with the whole team like in games. Yeah. So it's more about there's a high vision, and the production designer or his assistant talks to all the other guys. Right. Talks to the set supervisor, talks to the I don't know.
Yeah. So it's more separated. There's more of a community feel in a game studio because you can just walk up for your desk and talk to one person over, And I think game studios tend to be smaller as well than film productions because film productions are infinitely scalable with so many departments. But with games, obviously everything's handled within one building, within one floor, within one set of desks. So I get what you're saying.
But basically what we are doing usually is we do dailies. So like in case of film production, we usually meet with the director or production designer. It doesn't matter. It's on Skype or in person. Usually once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks.
Right.
And then we talk through all the tasks. What's ahead of all the tasks ahead in like till the next meeting. And then we just do daily deliveries. So we start to work on those tasks and just do daily deliveries and then usually we send the daily in at the end of the day and we get feedback till the next morning. Right. What could be like just a couple of scribbles on the artwork or a couple of sentences. It's really easy to give feedback.
Yeah, no, and
for them as well because.
Yeah. And is that have you been doing with your studio, maybe even just recently, have you been doing more film production than game stuff, or is it a balance? Or
it's a funny thing because I really would love to work more in games with the studio, but somehow we ended up doing film work like 80%. The rest is what I said, like illustration and like VFX stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why it happened. It's just sort of happened.
Yeah.
But probably also because what I was telling you.
Yeah.
Like two minutes before.
It's more in house. Yeah. And
it's more in house. So okay, there are studios who are outsourcing out some art as well, like bigger companies. But that's more for really the
promotional art stuff.
The first visual.
Oh, the pitch stuff, yeah.
The pitch stuff and the first to create the actual world before anything starts. Or like really big games like for Assassin's Creed or stuff like that. Because they need so much art that they sometimes cannot produce that much.
Yeah. No, I mean definitely. I mean there was a few. I mean even just my time at Access recently. There was a few major studios I knew that they worked with where they were basically either outsourcing them to do particular scenes or cinematics, or in the case of Riot, they were doing a whole, hero reveal cinematic for them, start to finish. So yeah, it's a very common thing I think with outsourcing studios is that it can be either or. You can either get a small portion to do or like an entire thing, an entire production. And I think, like you said, with the game stuff, it's more prevalent with games because obviously, like you said, you've got to be in the studio, but films has that thing where it can separate art away from the other parts of the company, especially like Atom Hawk. You probably know Atom Hawk in Newcastle.
Yeah.
So they were industry workshops, but they were talking about the stuff they could talk about, but just the most recent was like Guardians 2 that they worked on, which we found funny actually because we went as like a team in Access to go see the film and it came out, and we were kind of laughing at the end of the credits where there must have been about 6 or 7 different studios that had all contributed towards like the VFX. Guys like Framestore and that and NPC. So
because usually what's happening now, because they are, I mean, these big VFX heavy blockbusters need so much visual effects and so much work.
Yeah,
they're basically all the studios are working on them. So if you look at the credits like Guardians or whatever, they're gonna be NPC, there's gonna be Weta, there's gonna be Framestore, etc. And another. So they're like 5, 6, 7 bigger studios around the world, and they're all working on these because none of them would be able to finish all the work on its own.
Yeah, by themselves. Yeah, I mean that was funny as well because years back I remember watching I think it was at the time DC Universe Online, was Superman and Batman. They had a big, huge cinematic reveal trailer thing that came out, either E3 or whatever, and I watched all the way to the end, and I thought, Blur Studios? Who the fuck is Blur Studios? And and you don't, I didn't know about how, I mean, it was funny even up until I started my university course. I didn't even know who Axis were in Glasgow, but they're even this kind of huge international entity now. I mean, I was even listening to Ash Thorpe's podcast the other day, and he was talking to Sava, one of the guys who runs IFCC, and they were talking about Axis because Sava's actually directing for them across their Axis now because of the IFCC short, which was incredible, obviously. But yeah, there's these small studios just dotted all over and like the thing is, I knew about your studio, but I didn't know obviously you'd done production work on films. So yeah, there's lots of these smaller studios kind of dotted throughout Europe that work freelance for these companies. How did you get involved within film then? Was this something that kind of happened by accident, or did you have a contact, or?
Well, basically, it's we were just basically in the right place at the right time. So what happened is I moved back from the UK, and then I had this old friend of mine who was an art director before. He was more coming from the advertising industry side, and then so he was working at Leo Burnett, what is one of the major big advertising agencies in Europe, and he was an art director there, and then moved away and became a freelance art director, and he was also doing like layout design and keyframe design and storyboarding for TV ads and TV shows. And when I came back from the UK, we just sat down and we started to talk about to actually like do a next step and join. I mean, get together, do a studio, and just slowly build up something. At least that's what we do. There will be like a slow transition from freelance. We're gonna try to channel through our freelance work to the studio, and we'll see how it goes. But the funny thing was that it picked up so quickly that became our full-time job, and now there is a 6 of us already. So I just anyway, I just wanted to. So basically, what happened is when we started, after a few months later, there was a big film industry boom here in Hungary, because they built like 2-3 huge studio complexes around Budapest. There's also like a tax rebate for film production.
Right.
Okay. And that's why a lot of the big Hollywood movies are coming to shoot here. So there are really good equipped big studios. There are a lot of good locations around Hungary. So you can get castles, you can get forests, you can get whatever. Yeah. So basically, they also shot the new Blade Runner movie here.
Oh right, yeah.
For example, so the whole movie was shot here, beside Budapest. The new Robin Hood movie. So anyway, so some people knew that I moved back from the UK, and they approached me to start work on a TV series with Tarsem Singh, as a full-time concept artist for the series. But basically, I said, okay, look, we just started this company, so we can start work on that. So basically, we managed to start work on the series as a company remotely, and just meet with the production designer just once a week, as I said, and it worked pretty well. So that's basically how it started, and it's just picked up from there.
Right. Yeah, and then that's just obviously, through work has led from like another job, then another job, then another job.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of snowballed.
Well,
Yeah,
it's kind of tricky because there's always these like NDA. There's this NDA period. So basically, what we can show is usually like from 2 years ago.
mhm,
So that's the rough. So like usually 1.5, 2 years is the minimum.
right.
And in most of the projects, we can't even say that we worked on on that
Yeah,
project till it comes out.
yeah.
So it's kind of tricky. So we just launched our website a couple of months ago, and we just got to a point where we can actually start to talk about the stuff, what we have been doing.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the same with, I think, nearly every industry that outsources stuff, is that until the studio's ready, then you can't proceed past them because they hold all the cards, because they are, the studio, Warner Brothers, Universal, whoever it is, are the guys that, yeah, that basically you're saying, start and stop and whenever. But yeah, I mean, it is a lot of this industry, I think, is right place, right time, and contacts and networking, and it's kind of things I want to dive into more detail. But talking about right place, right time, it's time for an ad read. So we just take a couple of minutes just now to talk about Procreate, because they are actually helping sponsor.
Oh, can I grab a bit of water?
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the meantime?
You can refill all ad read, and you can take your
Okay,
time, Mark.
cool.
So we're just going to take a couple of minutes to talk about Procreate. So Procreate are sponsoring this podcast. They've kindly lent their skills and free versions of the app for our listeners. If you guys don't know, of course, we're sponsored by Procreate, which is an Apple Design Award-winning digital paint and illustration solution, and it's designed exclusively for iOS at the moment. So yeah, you can get that on the App Store. Procreate, if you don't know, it allows you to create professional-grade artworks wherever you are, with an advanced dual texture brush engine, a robust layering system, a groundbreaking canvas resolution, and this is all for $5.99. That is, of course, UK pounds. You can find Procreate through the App Store, of course, if you own your Apple iPad or iPhone. There's also a pocket version of the app. Or you can go to the website, which is procreate.art. And we've met the guys at Industry Workshops again this year, Matt and Nathan, and it was great to meet them. Yeah, and try out the new Procreate, because Procreate 4 is obviously launching very soon. I think at the time of recording it will be out, and it comes with a lot of brand new features that are exclusive to the new Procreate 4. I was just talking earlier to Mark about using Procreate and seeing the guys over the weekend that they had at their booth, like Nikolai Lockerstein and a couple of the guys who are now working exclusively with Procreate, are doing professional work, content work for studios, movie studios, game studios, and it's all through iPad, which I think has came about with stuff like you can get up to 16K canvases now, 8K canvases. You can also work within layers, layer masks. There's now bleeding brushes within it, dual layer texture brushes. One of the coolest things, obviously, about Procreate, I think, is that it saves every single brush stroke. So, Nikolai was talking about how he's not lost a piece of work in the last 5 years because everything is so well saved and backed up to iCloud. But also because it saves every brush stroke. If you hit the playback button, you can play your entire painting back, start to finish. Which walks you through every step, which is good if you're wanting to stream that stuff to a website or Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, or speed painting stuff for Gumroad for lessons. It's quite good, obviously, for that. And the interface obviously is great as well, because there is no real interface. It's all through touch. It kind of takes that out the road, so lets you just get back to naturally painting. Especially with a lot of the wet oil brush or the wet brushes they have now in the new Procreate 4. Because it mixes just like real paint. So when you paint, of course with colours, it all mixes in real time, like traditional paint, like acrylics and oils. So thanks to Procreate for sponsoring the podcast. If you guys want to win a copy, we have 2 codes to give away. If you like and subscribe to the channel in either iTunes or YouTube, leave a comment below of why you should win a copy. We'll pick a winner at random in a couple of weeks, and you'll get a free copy of Procreate through the App Store. Thanks to Procreate. So yeah, yay, fantastic. Back to you. And also a quick shout out to Firestarter magazine as well, because they're obviously just giving us help with sponsorship as well. Firestarter are a community magazine that is spearheading the industry just now, basically bringing awareness to all the events around the world. The Firestarter magazine, I think the first issue was at IFCC that was launched, and the second issue will be coming out in a couple of weeks at Playground Festival in Eindhoven in Holland. I'll be there at the event, helping launch it. And obviously I'm in the magazine interviewing Max Burman. You'll probably hear this as well at the time of recording, so as soon as the magazine goes into print and is getting circulated around playgrounds, the audio interview will go up at the same week, so you guys can check out the magazine and the interview at the same time. So yeah, thanks Firestarter. So yeah, everything will be below in the descriptions, and feel free to check out our sponsors. So Mark, back to it. So yeah,
where were we?
Where were we? Yeah, your illustrious film career. That's where we were. So I'm kind of curious as well with the trend of starting your studio. I mean, I think the plan was for this to kind of go into two parts anyway, because I'm aware of your time. But if you could just briefly talk before we finish about like the studio in general. Why did you feel it was a better fit for you guys starting the studio as opposed to going maybe working somewhere in a studio in an existing company, or somewhere else? Good question.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, honestly, I sort of tried to create something what was sort of an in between.
Between freelance and between a full studio.
Freelance and working full time in a studio. So
right.
I because I've done both a couple of times, and I really like the freedom and the flexibility of freelance work.
Right.
Or being a freelancer, and just the variety of works what you can get as a freelancer.
Right. Yeah.
So the projects are changing much more rapidly, and what is really great to keep you fresh as a creative person. But I also like working in-house, because I really believe in working in a team and working together with people, getting inspiration from other people, and getting constant feedback and constant constructive criticism from your peers. So I love both.
Right.
But that's just sort of seemed the next logical step to try out. I honestly never imagined it's going to pick up so quickly, because I mean, really we started 2 years ago, and now we are basically like a full-on working studio with we are still small, but we are 6 of us, and we just we just moved studio. We basically teamed up with a similar sized small animation studio, so we are in a bigger office space now.
Cool. Yeah.
Just the two small companies, and it's perfect combination as well. But so I never really imagined that. I thought it's gonna be okay. Like, it's probably gonna be a few years till we can slowly move from doing freelance stuff to doing the actual studio work. And so it's a funny thing. But I really enjoy it, because it's because I pretty much have what I just said before. I have the flexibility of being my own boss, and it's
freeing. It's definitely better for, I think, work-life balance.
And it's not really like, so we are not like, okay, you have to be here at 8 and 8 to 6 kind of. So it's not like that kind of jobs. So it's not we are not that kind of workplace. So if you have to sort out something in your life, then you just go on and do it, and that's it. You come in pretty much when you want. But the only thing what we are really serious about is meeting the deadlines for the client.
Of course,
And that's pretty much it.
It's very, I mean, just speaking from the one studio I've worked in so far in this industry, because I'm still a student, obviously, but Axis are the same. They have no hard and fast rule about being anywhere on time, as long as the work is met to the standard that they want. Then I mean, most people are in the studio from 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 at night. It's kind of how most of the company runs. But
yeah, because but that's how your life is. That's how people work usually. So
yeah.
I mean, we are even if we don't have to come in by time, but all of us are here around 9ish or
Right.
10 at the latest, and we are here till around 6, 7 tops.
I mean, we used to just try and come in the morning because we had the stand-ups in the morning. So when you had a stand-up, you wanted to be there in the morning to kind of go over what you were doing for the day and what other people were doing. So it's good because then when you come in past that, it was usually like, oh, well, what am I doing? And oh, what are you doing? And did you finish the thing from yesterday? But then when you're coming in and you're doing the stand-up in the morning, and it's like, right, okay, well, that thing's done. This needs to get done today. Can you do that? Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, it's a good thing. But I think because you offer that freedom, people obviously... It's weird. I'm going to go on a tangent here, but quickly just talk about a documentary I just watched with Michael Moore about the Finnish education system and how students there are treated more like adults than like kids. So like a simple thing, like most kids or teenagers who are in the Finnish schools don't need a pass to go to the toilet. They can just get up and go to the bathroom if they need to, like, because they're adults. Whereas obviously in American schools, you have to ask permission, you have to get a pass, and then go to the toilet and get it checked. But yeah, I think when you offer people more freedom, they want less. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Yeah, you're kind of giving people like free rein.
I think they started to do something similar at I think Virgin.
Right.
They introduced you have as much holidays as you want. You can go to holidays whenever you want. The only thing is that you have to tell I don't know, like a month in advance to your or a couple of days in advance to your supervisor or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And they just realized people actually taking out less holidays than they got before. So they're not disappearing for months.
Yeah.
They're going away for a week or two.
Yeah.
And they come back much more recharged, and that's it. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, it was the same in the documentary because a lot of the places he visited were basically, it was like Scandinavia and Europe, and he talked about, like, even in Italy, one of the Ducati factories he visited, how the guys give all their employees in Italy 2 hours for lunch every day. Like, they go away at like 12, they come back at 2, but they get like a full 2 hours lunch. But Michael Moore was saying to the guys who owned the Ducati factory, they were like, you could just give them half an hour for lunch and like no paid holidays and no benefits, and make so much more money. And the guy was like, well, why would we do that? Because if we treat our employees better, then they want to be here more, they want to work harder for the company, and they take less sick days. So yeah, it's a whole movement. I think with artists is it's trying to, the overarching thing I'm trying to say here is that it's something that still exists today, which I don't think should, is that artists are kind of, I'm not trying to say that they're treated like shit, but yeah, they're an expendable asset to a lot of people, and a lot of the culture I've seen in studios is sometimes where if somebody speaks up about something, they'll say, well, that's great, but there's 20 guys at the back of you that want your job, so you have to do it. And it's a thing like more like overtime that you have to do. You have to come in at the weekends, you have to stay late, and you're not getting paid for it. And a recent conversation obviously was also about unpaid internships, because you're volunteering.
That's kind of a tricky subject, because I mean, first of all, I'm absolutely against working for free.
Yeah, so am I. So are a lot of people. Yeah.
But so the funny thing is that we actually had some interns for free at the studio, and it's a really tricky thing seeing this from the other side, as I don't know what to call, like a company owner or whatever.
Yeah.
Because basically what's happening is usually who are those guys who are coming for an internship. We couldn't really use them as no, it's really hard to,
Like
you don't hire an intern based on what he knows. You're hiring them based on their potential.
Yeah.
But you don't really know what they're gonna become in like a month or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So basically, we always felt that it's basically an investment from us into them because they are and then I'm just going to talk purely about the business point of view.
Yeah.
So basically, they are not producing any effective profit for the company because they are not at the level where you can bring them into a serious task or a serious job.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Plus, you have to the seniors in the company usually have to spend time with them to educate them.
Yeah. So
that's a minus on our side.
Yeah. And
the minus from their time.
Yeah.
So we are basically not. So what we experienced, it was a really funny experience seeing this from the other side, because basically it's. So if I see it from the business point of view, then we're basically spending money.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to justify that. On top of this, I want to pay these interns.
Yeah.
Because I'm spending money on them anyway.
Yeah.
Even if they don't, and of course there's the possibility of if they turn to be good after, or we see the potential in a month or 2, then we probably gonna hire them as juniors.
Yeah.
That's a totally different story.
Yeah.
So they are working towards something. There is a goal.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't hire. So I wouldn't hire some intern to work for me for free who is already a professional or already at that level.
Even like a junior level. If you felt somebody was they could come in as straight as a junior, then you could.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
because we hired juniors before without any internship period or anything.
Yeah.
But we had a really cool guy who was an intern in our studio a year ago, and then after he was an intern for like a bit more than 2 months, and then we hired him as a junior, and now he's already almost like a sort of a mid-level. So it's
cool.
He's picking up really fast and creating stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's really good. And then I think that's what I was trying to talk to people about is that.
So it's not. No. Just.
No. I was going to say it's a total balancing act. So I think you should be there as much as it profits you as well. Like you grow from it. Yeah. But then when you feel like you're either stagnating or the company isn't wanting to take you on, then you have to think, right, I need to leave now and go back and either improve my portfolio.
No, basically, I'm just telling it's not really a black and white situation. So
yeah, totally.
So I sort of understand the companies as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know about a lot of companies who are they are really using people like badly and keeping in like young guys for free for like 6 months a year.
Yeah.
But that's not cool. But
nah, yeah.
But in a way, I sort of understand, and for me that makes sense because it's basically if I want to translate it, then it's basically a free art course, and you work on real life projects
and stuff. No, and I think that's the harder internship to get is one where you feel you can grow, and I think that's why I've been struggling so much throughout my art career. I mean, because when I left my job at the engineering firm to go pursue art, I think I'm probably one of the few types of people who I kind of need somebody, no pushing me, but saying like, okay, learn this, and then maybe look at this next, and then maybe like somebody like the old masters used to learn like with Da Vinci and stuff. You would learn under a master for months. You would you'd be cleaning their brushes for a long time, but then you would watch them paint and you would understand how they use the brush. And so I think that's something to try and look into in the next year, especially. I know there's a whole slew of people doing paid internships now. Darkin's one of them that I really liked, actually, one of the magic artists, and there's a whole kind of gambit of people doing that now, and I really need. I think I need to invest in something like that because I find it really hard to learn on by myself a lot of the time.
Right.
Just self-motivation.
No, I understand. I mean, it works for some people to actually just sit down and watch tutorials and work on his own. But for some people, it's just much better.
You need that motivation.
If there is somebody to motivate you on everything. I was also doing some mentorships before. I just had to stop because I was also teaching as well. Yeah. But I just don't have the time. Actually, we have done with the other guy from the studio. We have done a course at the local design university about visual storytelling. So that was cool. We might gonna do that again, but. Yeah.
I think that's the eventuality with all artists. I think is when you get to a certain point, you want to give back. You want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean that was the whole point of your book, the behind the pixel kind of thing. That was the reason you had published that. Basically, it was like a user manual on start to finish how to become a concept artist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And that was the main goal. I wanted to put together that book just to. Basically, I wanted to put together the book what I wanted when I started out.
Yeah.
Basically, because I didn't know anything about the industry, and that's just to put everything to place. And actually, what was really surprising, and I'm super thankful to all those artists all the guest artists who are in the book, because I mean, it's not just. Some people don't know that, but it's not just me, but it's like another 35 artists from the whole entertainment industry who have done tutorials and provided me extra artworks for the book. And I'm super thankful because I mean I know these guys, most of them in person, some of them just from online. Yeah. And I just wrote basically like a I think it was not even an email. It was probably like a Facebook message, like a group message.
Right.
Hey guys, I'm planning to put together this kind of book, and I would be super happy if it wouldn't just be about my own shit.
Yeah. Just because obviously art and learning is subjective, so the more input you have in that, the better.
Exactly. So I wanted more point of view, and basically the funny thing was that. I wrote to like 35 guys, and I expected, okay, if I get response from like 5 or 10, then I'm super lucky and I have some extra artworks. But I actually had answer back in all the 35 of them in like 2 hours.
Wow!
And I was absolutely stoked.
Lord, yeah. But that's good though, because I mean, especially for stuff like industry workshops and playgrounds and THU, like it is almost like we're a family, and the art industry, especially in Europe, is quite small because I mean THU attendance is like 1,000, 2,000 people. So I mean like it's
THU like is massive now.
Yeah. So I mean, I was so good. I had the chance to get a ticket this year, but I kind of passed on it because I was like, oh no, I haven't got the money, and it was actually going really cheap, and I knew that it's went away to somebody else. I was like, oh shit, I really could have went. Fuck, it would have been good. So, but no, definitely next year. Andre, I'm coming. Andre, I'm coming.
The funny thing was that I actually. I was there from the very beginning, and I think I was the first one who bought one of the first tickets from the very first 2 DHU. So I was there 3 times, and I wanted to be there this year as well. I just couldn't because of the baby. I actually had to pass on the industry workshops as well.
Yeah, that was.
I was invited to doing like 2 lectures, 2 industry workshops, but. I just had to cancel it because it was too close to the due date of the baby. So
life gets in the way, man. That's what happens. You kind of plan.
Oh, that's right, but next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Next year, I'm gonna be there.
I'm holding you to it, Mark. So I'm just going to kind of wrap at the moment because I'm aware of your time for getting back to see your little one. But I think what Mark's plan was for the podcast is that you're going to come back and maybe do another talk, maybe expand on more subjects. Yeah. So we'll do that definitely. So you guys keep tuned. This will be a 2-parter or a 3-parter. We'll decide as we go down, and we'll see. We'll feel it out.
Or basically, this was like we can handle this as an introduction or something.
Yeah.
And I think I was thinking actually the best would be if the listeners could come up with questions or topics what they would like to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. No, totally.
We can just pick like
2 or
3, 4, 5. And
go through them
and talk about that.
Yeah, totally. I'm totally up for that, Mark. Yeah, whatever you've got time for. So what we'll probably do is you guys can leave. If you're on iTunes, it'll be a bit more difficult because you can only leave reviews. But if you go to the YouTube channel, you can leave comments below this episode. Also, I'll try and put a poll up on the Facebook page to see if people can leave comments and questions there. And then we'll get back to this. When Mark is obviously a bit more adjusted with his baby boy at home.
Well, I'm gonna be a bit more busy in the next couple of weeks, but I think because of the baby. But I think after that, I would be happy to do another session.
Yeah, totally. I'm up for anything you're willing to do, Mark. It's all appreciated. So yeah, guys. So keep tuned. Mark will be back. We'll continue this talk. I hope what you've listened to has been great so far. Just to thank Mark for taking time out of his night. I know this.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. Absolute honour. And yeah, guys. Remember to like and comment below to win a code for Procreate, and we will catch you in the next episode. And thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.